SpectreVision Radio.
Seeing chickens with their head cut off is jarring. Like, I don't disagree with that. I think even people in my tradition, and I see chickens with their head cut off all the time because offerings and sacrifice are a part of the tradition. I think that it can be like, wait, oh my God, like I'm really, it be feeling a little weird sometimes. But to see people excited about guns being pulled and glass smashing and like shrines being toppled over and someone's home being trashed with children in it, I'm just like, y'all lost the plot. Hey babes, welcome. E cabo a Cuaba, bienvenido, sac pase, wagwan, nanga death. That's a new one. What's up, yo? Welcome to A Little Juju podcast. This is the Africana Ethereal podcast, diving deep into the medicinal, the magical, and the ancestral spiritual tools that can help get us free. And I'm your host, Juju, author of the Book of Juju, Oshun Priestess, Oreye, and of course your favorite big cousin conjurer. Welcome, y'all. We are in a new year. That's what they say, child. We're in a new year according to the Gregorian calendar. It is January. We're in 2026. I talked about before that this is our 10 year if you're into numerology. So new beginnings, fresh start, starting over, new leadership. I don't know if we're feeling that energy just yet, how y'all are settling into the new year, but I hope that y'all had a wonderful new year, that you ate your black eyed peas, you ate your fried fish, you ate your greens or your cabbage or your gumbo, you brought in your good luck, you clean house, whatever it is that you need to do for the new year. I pray that it went very well for you. I was just in Baltimore and I was talking to a friend of mine, Alana. Hey, Alana. And we were talking about just family and growing up. And she's like, I don't know if you grew up with a mother like this, but she was like, my mother really was just so meticulous about things in the house. Like things had to look a certain way. They had to go a certain way. Dishes had to be in a certain way. And I actually feel like my father was more like that than my mom was, but I definitely feel like I grew up in a similar kind of vibe. And we were talking about how we get it now. Like when we were younger, it was like, you're so annoying. Like, it's not that deep. Like, why the bed don't got to be made all the time. Like, things don't have to be together all the time. And they don't. But what we came to realize is that as we have become more meticulous about our spaces, it's because the world is honestly so chaotic and disorganized and wild and nuts. The way to feel some type of semblance or control for us was to like do something in our homes, like to have our space organized, because we can't really rely on other things outside to be organized. So we're like, well, we have to be meticulous. I'm like, mommy, dad, I get it. I get why things had to be so particular, even though it was annoying and there wasn't a lot of room for mistakes. I'm not saying that's the good parts about it, but it's like, yeah, because that is how you can feel some sense of control. And so I've really been thinking about that as I get older too, like just being more excited about doing things in the home. Like I'm just really getting old, like just happy about appliances, just like stereotypical stuff that you see. I'm fully in that. And I'm just offering that to y'all too, especially if you've just been feeling like things are just cloudy, stressful, chaotic. Maybe just start with your home. That doesn't mean your home has to be spick and span. Start with a corner. Have a corner of your house that's comfortable. If everything else is disarray, cool. Have a corner of your house that feels peaceful. Have a corner, your bathroom. Your bathroom's always clean. When you go to your bathroom, then you can like rest and chill. I don't know about y'all. I actually love sitting in the bathroom. Like I love sitting on the toilet. Not even necessarily to use the toilet. Just the bathroom is just so calming. So maybe, have your clean bathroom, have a clean corner in your house, have your clean corner of your kitchen, so that if everything else is just a mess, you have one thing to rely on that is within your control to bring some peace. So that's what I want to offer y'all today. And I feel like that is a good New Year beginning. So as y'all know, let's start with our first segment today, Ogun's Internet. So this is the segment where I talk about what is going on in these internet streets. What have I seen on the God of Technologies interwebs? What y'all are talking about? Today's Open's Internet is the story of Amelia's song. This is such a heartwarming, beautiful story. And I will tag the creator who talked about this story as well. So there is this person named Amelia Dawley, and she's from Southern Georgia. And in about the 1930s, she was recorded singing a lullaby to her daughter. And it's a lullaby in a different language. She didn't understand it, but she raised her daughter just always singing this lullaby. So Lorenzo Dow Turner, who was an archivist, recorded Amelia singing the lullaby to her daughter and then played it later for his students. I think he taught maybe I don't know, but he played it for his students. And one of the students in the class was like, wait, that sounds like Mende language. So he was like, oh, okay. And because the student was able to pick up some of the words. Remember, Amelia or the daughter, they don't know what this means. They're just kind of singing made up words, but it was something that Amelia's mother or grandmother sang to her. So this is a song that was passed down. So Lorenzo Dow plays that a student recognizes some words and like, that sounds like Mende. And Mende is a West African dialect found primarily in Sierra Leone, by the way. So they learned later that this song was actually a funeral song that was being sung by one of the students. So this is recorded, it's saved. So 60 years later, the copy of Amelia singing this song was found by some anthropologists, some music anthropologists. So they took this song and they went to Sierra Leone and they traveled to play the song because some words were recognized. And they went to all these different tribes, all these different villages. Nobody recognized the song until they went to this remote town, like way far out from where they were. And one woman was like, I know that song. My grandmother used to sing that song to me. So the town that they traveled to was called Senegal. And the woman there named Baindu Jabiti recognized the song because her grandmother sang it to her. And so she was recounting the story like, I was so shocked that mind you, these are like two white people traveling around Sierra Leone playing a boombox of this music. And she recognized the song. She said, my grandmother used to sing it to me. And when she sang it to me, she said, if you ever hear anyone singing this song, that's your family. Like, this is your family song. This is your family song. Don't forget this song. So she was like, it brought me back to my grandmother. A couple months down the line, Amelia, who was the child who was sung the song, flew to Sierra Leone. They flew her there and she reconnected with her ancestral tribe in Sierra Leone. And this all happened in the 1990s, by the way. And I thought that this was such a beautiful story because it speaks to so many things that I think are so wonderful about ancestral veneration. The power of song, first of all, and music. How a lullaby that was passed down from the family literally connected this woman in Georgia to her ancestors in this small rural village in Sierra Leone. And she was able to meet her family. But it also points to this power behind time. A lot of people who do ancestral work and veneration, they're like, I don't hear my ancestors. I don't know what's going on. I feel like nothing's happening. I feel like nothing has really changed that much. I mean, it's a little bit of things. Mind you, the song was sung in 1930s. She was not reconnected to her people in Sierra Leone until 1997. That's a long time. It went from her mouth to this anthropologist who stashed it away. It was excavated by some other music people 30 years later to then them taking it, traveling. Like, all of this took a lot of time. But in the end, there was reconnection. There was healing. There was familial lines being found. There were ancestors showing themselves. So I just want to remind you all that everything is not overnight. And it can be so tempting, especially as we live in a microwave society, to want things immediately. But that's not necessarily always how spirit works. That's definitely not how ancestors work. They be taking their time sometimes. But things that are worth it will come to you in time. And so if it is meant for you to know and reconnect and find, you will. It could take 30 years. It could take 50 years. It could take who knows how much time? It may not even be you who gets the information. The work that you do today could be beneficial to someone else in 3 generations who's then able to speak your name by something that happened. So don't get too caught up in how quickly or not things are happening, because Miss Amelia found her people in the 90s, and this was recorded in the 30s. So I wanted to share that beautiful story. Again, I will share the creator, but it is such a beautiful reminder of who walks with us. And at the end of the day, if it's for us, we'll find it. Now, our next topic today, since we're speaking of music and ancestral stories and the power of song passing things down, we need to talk about this new AI artist that is out. Her name is Xania Monet, and it is powered by this poet. Her name is Talisha Nikki Jones. And this new artist, Xania Monet, I've seen her all over my timeline. I've seen her all over my TikTok. It's a Black AI figure. I don't even know even the language to talk about this person, but this is an AI musical artist. Their music has run up the charts, has been on the top 100 list, most streamed, most all of that. And this AI artist just signed a multi-million-dollar deal. So you're like, how does an AI artist sign a multi-million-dollar deal? I don't know, but she did. So of course, I think Talisha Nikki Jones is getting paid from some of that, but it is because of the AI art. So Talisha Jones was actually interviewed by Gayle King, and Gayle King kind of got into her, but she was talking about how, she actually does write the music, but she can't sing.
But Nikki, they thought Xania was a real person.
Jenahye is an extension of me, so I look at her as a real person.
But you can't sing. So she's not a real, in that sense, she's not a real person. Mm-hmm. What do you say to people that say she may be an extension of you, but other singers who are actually, have worked hard, who have practiced their craft, who are really struggling to get heard, who are really doing the actual singing, that you seem to have circumvented, taken a shortcut through all of that?
I wouldn't call it a shortcut because I still put in the work.
So she created this avatar to be able to sing the songs that she writes. Now, some of this has been debunked a little bit. I think that she definitely shares with AI her stories, her poetry, but then has the AI bot create the music from some of her words or from some of her poetry. So it's not like she's writing songs necessarily and the AI is singing them always. She's just feeding it ideas, which is what happens when we use AI. We're feeding it our ideas for it then to create, whether that's music, your homework, whatever it is that you're trying to create using the AI. And Xania Monet was the first known AI artist to earn enough radio play to debut on Billboard radio chart. And it's really made me want to know how AI art, and I put it in quotes because, again, AI to me, AI is not a new concept, right? AI has existed for some time. I think in my lifetime, at least, there's certain things that we've engaged with for a long time that we haven't thought about as AI that is. For example, when we type a document on Microsoft Word or Google or even our phones and it corrects it or it underlines it and says that it's spelled wrong, that's us interacting with AI. We've been interacting with that for some time. For me, what makes me uncomfortable is the overuse and the normalizing of AI sort of taking over our worlds, our brains, our ideas, our music. I saw a really interesting post by Kalani. She was interviewed by, I'm not sure, she was on the radio, and she was saying that it's kind of messed up because there's more AI artists popping up, which means there are more multi-million-dollar deals being made to robots, to chatbots.
What about the mixing engineers? Mm-hmm. What about the producers? Mm-hmm. What about the instrumentalists? Yeah. What about the people that you call to make the cover art?
What does that mean for writers? What does that mean for producers? What does this mean for musicians, essentially certain people's jobs are being taken away in the music industry specifically if we don't need anyone to play music for us anymore, if we don't need the DJ, if we don't need composers, if we can just put our ideas into chat boxes or chat whatevers and it creates music for us. And so I definitely have my reservations about AI. I talk about AI all the time on this podcast because I do think it's fascinating, but it also scares me. But I want to just specifically talk about like the creative space and the music industry. Like Kelana was saying, maybe there's like separate charts for AI artists. Maybe it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, but do actual artists need to compete against artists like Xania, Monet in order to reach the charts or to get deals? Like maybe there's a whole separate section. I wouldn't be surprised if like the Grammys and the VMAs or whatever start having like segments where they give AI people awards. Like I think we're getting to the place where they're going to start getting trophies and things like that. But I'm just concerned about the arts. I'm just concerned about the music. Music is such an important aspect of our world, our culture. I think music is one of the best gifts of humanity that has ever given us. Like the fact that we created music, like we did a thing with music. And to lose that to robots is weird, especially as, I just shared this Amelia song story about music, literally oral tradition being passed down. Like, how does AI fit in a story like that? How might we find ancestral connection? Can we find ancestral or spiritual connection with AI music? I don't know. And I'm not purporting to know. I don't know how this could potentially be used as we're thinking about spirituality and uncovering messaging and languages. I'm sure that there's people out there who are saying it could work. There could be a way that AI could interpret languages, or maybe the process of Amelia's song story could have happened quicker if there was AI research. I don't even know what to call it. If that was around, I don't know. So yeah, I wanted to talk about these things in tandem because they're both happening now. And well, Amelia's song happened in the 1990s, but that I think they're in conversation. And as we are literally witnessing a change in our society, like we are in the middle of what history books are going to be writing about in 20 years and 30 years. Like this is going to be called something. We don't know what it's called right now because we're in it and we're living it and it's just a part of life. But this is going to be a moment that we're going to have to recall and remember. Or maybe we won't have to remember. Maybe the robots will remember it. We might not have to remember any of this. But we are in the middle of like history making times right now. It's never been a time like this before. Technology has never been like this before. So what do we want to do with that? And how, as practitioners and healers and spiritual girlies, priests, how do we want to be a part of this moment, or how do we want to reject it? How do we reject it? I don't know. I just think that we all should be thinking about it, regardless of where you stand on the topic. We have to have some kind of understanding of it so that it doesn't completely ruin us, right? We have to keep ourselves educated and on top of what's happening around us so that we can know and be speaking and have references to when people are thinking back 30 years ago and 50 years that our voices are a part of that conversation so that we're not left out, especially of the AI topic. So I hope y'all enjoyed that. And this segment is called Ogun's Internet. Ogun is the Orisha of technology. I wonder what Ogun feels about all of this. Like, what does Ogun, and especially because Ogun is a warrior deity, is a warrior Orisha. And not only is Ogun the Orisha of technology, but he's also the Orisha of war. I think that there's a connection here. War and technology on the surface you would think are not the same thing. But in Yoruba traditional sense, there is warfare within technology as well. So are we creating more opportunities for warfare as we put most of our energy and onus on tech? Possibly. Again, y'all, I don't know. I just be throwing things. Well, my friend says I'm a my friend Levon just was like, you're a public intellectual. Like, you're a thinker. So I have my ideas and I put them out there because I want us to think. That's all. I want us to think. I know AI don't want us to think. I just want us to think. That's it. All right, y'all, let's take a break and we'll be right back. Okay, y'all. So A Little Juju podcast is a labor of love, but it is labor nonetheless. Time, energy, recording days, team, all of that takes time. Ain't nothing free. I mean, it's free for y'all, but it ain't free for me. And so if you share the episode, if you tell your friends about it, if you listen on Spotify, if you watch on YouTube as we get to the road to monetization, all of that helps pour into A Little Juju podcast. Now, if you want to pour in with the coin, okay, that's what we love, your coin. Go to patreon.com/jujubay. There are a beautiful amount of tiers set up for you to sign up. If you want to support the show for $7 a month, that is a good medium coffee in New York with oat milk for a coffee a month. You can support A Little Juju podcast to make sure that we have what we need to keep going. And if you're like, I got a little bit more than $7, Jew, I got a little bit more, there's some other tiers for you, and you get a lot of extra perks. That is early sign up to my readings, discounted readings. I know we love a discount, y'all. My patrons get discounted readings. They do not pay full price. Early access to classes, card divination workshops. We got a whole life. Discord chats. We got a whole world over the Patreon. So if you're like, I need more Jujubay, yes, go to the patreon.com/Jujubay and meet me there. Big shout out to all my newest patrons. I appreciate you. I honor you. I thank you for sharing in the energy of exchange with me. So as you are sharing your coin with me, I pray that you have the coin as well in your own life to be able to create, to do, to experience the kind of world and life that you want to do. I pray that your dreams continue to be poured into. I pray that your honorable ancestors continue to bring you all the resources in the world. So thank you. I do not play about money, especially in times like this. And so y'all's support means I couldn't do this without my patrons. So if you want to join, if you want to engage in this, please head over to the Patreon. All right, y'all, let's get back to the show. Hey, y'all. Okay, so our next segment today is Black business. And no, I'm not going to tell y'all that you need to sell Cutco knives. This is where we talk about what is happening in the diaspora. Because, you know, what happens there happens here and vice versa. So we need to know what's going on with our cousins over the way, across the pond. So today we are hopping to Senegal. So when you all see this episode, I actually would have just been getting back from Senegal. So you'll be seeing a lot of future episodes talking, I'm sure, a lot about my experience in Senegal. But I wanted to hop to Senegal today because I came across this, and it's a bit old, but, you know, follow me. It's not a bit old. It happened in 2018, but I think it's just pointing to something larger. So in 2018, there was a conversation in Senegal, and the Senegal government, lawmakers, policymakers, etc., about legalizing what we would call witchcraft. Now, I want to be clear that this is not witchcraft. I think that that is a watered down way to talk about it, but really legalizing traditional healers, allowing traditional healers to practice legally to bring respite and relief to the doctors, to the hospitals. They were overcrowded. They were not able to care for everyone in the towns. So they're like, maybe we actually need healers to help these people. And traditional healers in Senegal are still sought out. Just because it's not in the books, just because it's not legal, does not mean that people are not practicing. So in 2018, there was actually a serious conversation about potentially legalizing it. Based on my research, it has not been legalized. I don't think that it went through, but I thought that Senegal even having a conversation about it was really interesting. Yeah, so these laws were considered by Parliament at that time. Currently, what we would call witchcraft or sorcery is punishable by prison in Senegal. This is not an uncommon idea, I think, across many places in the diaspora. Spiritual practitioners is punishable by prison. I think in some places, even death as well. I mean, from places like Senegal, but even to practitioners in Jamaica. I'm pretty sure Obia is still outlawed in Jamaica. So we know that this is not necessarily a highly sought, respected field of work on the surface, right? Because even though it is illegal and people have demonized witchcraft, if you're listening, I keep putting up quotes, if it's air quotes with all of this, have been demonizing witchcraft. We all know that people go to the lady. They may not talk about it. They may not parade it. This is in many places I know in the US, we're kind of like, hey, witches, hey, like I'm going to get a reading. Like that's something that we do over here because we in America. And even still, people in America also hide, but another story. But people throughout the African diaspora, that's not something that you were necessarily parading about. You're not telling everybody. But in the quiet hours at night, after church, after you leave the mosque, you go to see the healer. You go to get your spiritual bath. You go to get your herbs. You go to get your prayers. You go to get your things to address the problems that you can't address in your day-to-day spiritual practice. That's just what people do. But I just thought it was so interesting. Even though Parliament did not pass this law, the fact that it came up as a law, I was like, wow. So that means that there is some level of understanding the importance of spiritual healers. And as I was doing this research, I learned that in Tanzania, that it is legalized and 75,000 traditional healers are registered in the country. So like there are places that are allowing and accepting practitioners, which means that there is a level of accountability. I think that there's safety that also can come with traditional healers being registered. Now, I don't necessarily think that everything has to go through, what's legal and westernized way of like, oh, this has to be in the book. This has to be voted. But I do think that, healers are always going to be healers. Like there's always going to be the lady. There's always going to be the sorcerer. There's always going to be the witch. That's always going to exist. So perhaps if there was some kind of structure where this could, I don't know, eliminate maybe some of the quacks. Because there's a lot of people out here who are faking and lying and making stuff up. Maybe there could be some kind of training. Maybe there should be some type of counsel. Maybe there could be some type of accountability if legalization happened so that people could get their healing, but also people maybe, I don't know, had to go through some type of process so that anybody just wasn't out here calling themselves a healer. Now, there is an organization in Senegal. I didn't get their name, but it's Senegalese healers. And they kind of created this on their own, even outside of the legal bounds. Like they've created a system where if you are calling yourself a practitioner, if you are saying that you are a priest or a traditional healer, you sort of have to go to this council to ensure that you're legitimate. And if you're not legit, the guy said that they run you out of town. So that I'm not sure exactly where in Senegal this was, but I think that people are doing this in a more grassroots, like underground way of being like, hey, are you a real healer? Because our people need healing. So if you're not, maybe they give them a test. I don't know how they decide if they're real healers or not, but they said they run out the fakes. So I don't know. I think as we just continue to talk about these practices, identify as healers, be internationally minded people, we have to always remember that what we often do so publicly is not able to be done so publicly in other places. Even some places in the US, it is unsafe and illegal. Like tarot readings, I believe, fortune telling is illegal in Philly, So like there's still some semblances of that. It's not always like you're going to go to jail for it, but I've seen someone be reprimanded for it in Philly. So we don't know. So I think that we just do have to be careful. We do have to be careful because even in the times that we're in now, yeah, we have a religious freedom. I'm putting up air quotes again. Like, we know that it don't be feeling free for a lot of folks, especially if you don't practice Christianity, quite frankly. So we just gotta, we gotta know what's going on over there. Because what if that conversation came up in the US about legalizing or not legalizing, or traditional healers having to go through some sort of governmental certification. That could happen. That has happened before in American history, especially in I think maybe like early 19th century that was happening. So I don't know. I just thought that the story was good because one, it was like Senegal. I was like, let me get my Senegal vibe, but also because it's just the legalizing and the not legalizing and the outlaws and punishable by prison and stuff. What happens there happens here. That's all I always say. What happens there happens here. What happens here happens there. So that is today's Black business. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. I think this is a really fascinating topic, and I don't think this topic is going anywhere. Okay, so now we're actually going to hop over. We're not done in Black. We're still in Black's business. We're still in the Black's business. We're hopping over to DR. In Santiago, specifically, Dominican Republic. Now, I saw this video it was on X or maybe it was Threads, I'm not sure, where police broke into this home of spiritual practitioners in Dominican Republic. They were all Black, by the way. These were all mostly women and children, dark-skinned women and children. And they went in there, busted in with guns and pointing them at the children, pointing them at the women, pointing them at everybody. You just hear them smashing shrines. You hear them just knocking everything over. They're speaking in Spanish, but there's a guy who was watching it who was sort of translating. He was saying that there was like animals in there and like there was chickens and there was stuff laid out. So clearly it was people practicing. I don't know if they were practicing 21 divisions, which is a like Dominican voodoo, basically. Some people were saying that they were actually Haitians living in DR, so they were practicing voodoo. I don't know. But the guy who was watching it was just, it's so unfortunate, but the video that I saw, he was actually excited that this was happening because he was like, we need to get these devil worshippers out of Dominican Republic. This is good. This is Jesus's land, blah, 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 blah. And the guy also had on a shirt that said Jesus saves witches. It was really sad to me just to see these people's shrines be completely they just trashed these people's homes. Like they trashed it. And they arrested a guy. And mind you, they're going in, guns a-blazing. It's kids. They were clearly probably in the middle of ritual when the police busted in. Now, I say this again because this goes along with the story about what's legal, what's not legal, and how people are able to go about, and police specifically are able to go about regulating those who do not practice, at least in DR, Christianity primarily. And I was looking at the comments, and the comments were full of people who were like, this is so good. I'm so proud to be Dominican. Like, I'm so happy this is happening. I think the Dominican flag has a Bible on it. It's something that represents DR, I believe, that has some type of Christian connotation to it. I want to say that there might be a Bible in the Dominican flag. So I do know that Christianity is very popular, is the mainstream religion. I mean, God, it seems like where isn't it? But to see this video like going viral and people cheering it on, people excited about it. I'm like, okay, y'all can have your religion. You could think that it's wrong. And I'm sure seeing chickens with their head cut off is jarring. Like, I don't disagree with that. I think even people in my tradition, and I see chickens with their head cut off all the time because offerings and sacrifice are a part of the tradition. I think that it can be like, wait, oh my God, like I'm really, it be feeling a little weird sometimes. But to see people excited about guns being pulled and glass smashing and like shrines being toppled over and someone's home being trashed with children in it, I'm just like, y'all lost the plot. This isn't about religious freedom, tolerance. You don't even have to understand it. Y'all cool with random people coming in your home with guns and trashing your home? And you would celebrate that? Like, what's not clicking? And again, I don't think that what happened in DR couldn't happen somewhere else. I truly don't. I think that could happen here. I think it could happen anywhere. Anywhere it could, because police, ICE, whoever be busting up in people's things anyway and trashing it for other reasons, quote unquote. But it all stems from white supremacy, quite frankly, and fascism. So who's to say that that's not a part of a narrative that we could be experiencing, well, that we are experiencing, but specifically around religion? Especially because there were so many people who sure were in DR, but also were in the US, who were excited and cheering on. They were, y'all, the comments were like, yes, like cheering on that happening. That's a scary thing. The police gonna police. But when the community is like supporting that behavior, that's actually what I think is the spookiest. It's not what the government does. Like, they've been like, that's par for the course. But when the people are like, yay, y'all, we gotta stay in Black business. We gotta stay in Black business, not the LLC, y'all. We gotta stay in Black business. Cause it's getting spooky out here. Actually, let me know in the comments, what do y'all think about these stories? What's going on? Religious freedoms, religious tolerance, Christian extremism. How do you make sense of this? Let me know where you're located in the US or abroad, because I got abroad listeners, period. My listeners is everywhere. I just had a client from Botswana the other day, okay? But let me know where you are, and then how maybe your county, your town. Actually, do your research. Where you live. Is any semblance of quote unquote witchcraft, sorcery, traditional healing, is it legal? I think we should know these things. How was it legal in New York? Is it legal in Maryland? Is it illegal in wherever you are? And let me know in the comments. All right, y'all. So, y'all, our next and last segment today is Dear Juju. Dear Juju is where you can write in your letters to me about love, relationships, spirituality, your boss, your homegirl, your girlfriend, your ex, nigga, everything that you want to know. You can write it into dearjuju@yahoo.com, and I might answer your question on the show. So today's Dear Juju letter is very short, and it's actually one from some time ago, but I didn't see it until recently. Sorry, boo. So today's Dear Juju letter reads, Dear Juju, I saw the trailer of your latest episode about menstruation on IG today, and I wanted to know if this applies also to men who sleep with you on your cycle. Thank you so much for your answer. Blessings, Helene Lucia. Thank you so much, Helene Lucia. So to give some backstory, some months ago at this point, I was doing some videos, some content around menstruation. I mean, there's just so much lore in the woo world around consuming menstruation and putting things in the spaghetti and putting things in the coffee to bind people to you and all of that. I mean, you should actually go back to my old videos and watch it, because I'm not even going to talk about the ethical violations and just the all of that. I'm not going to talk about that here. I want to address the question, though. Is it the same for, I guess, other secretions, not just menstrual secretions? And I would say that, yeah, it's very similar. I mean, I would say that the red stuff, because I don't know if I can say what. The red stuff is a life source. It is power. It is vitality. We all have it running through our veins. It is why that there are sacrifices in many Africana spiritual traditions, because the letting of the blood, okay, the blood of the lamb, that it is the importance of the blood. I think many traditions across whatever talk about the importance of the red stuff. I just said blood of lamb. It's okay. So we do talk a lot about that, and because many people, those who bleed, have that, then there's more things to put that sort of ashe power into. And so for the other folks who maybe have other kinds of secretions that may be white or just other cream colors, it's a little bit different. So of course it's not red vitality life, but it is a personal concern. And a personal concern is a piece of someone's identity, or like a piece of their essence. So hair is a personal concern. the red stuff, secretions, nail clippings, anything that connects one to another person, holds a piece, like their DNA, is a personal concern, and then thus can be used in spiritual workings, whether that's against them, with them, whatever it may be. So yes, other kinds of things can be used in things. I mean, I've heard some stories about Alfredo sauce. I don't want to get too deep into it, but everybody's out here. I don't recommend these kinds of activities, by the way, but I have to talk about them because they're real and it happens, and they've been happening for years. Like, this isn't new stuff. This is old stuff. So yes, Helene, Lucia, it is very similar. I don't think people talk about it enough, but other secretions have been and are added to foods and beverages to do binding rituals. It is not just about the red, it's about all the colors. So we do have to be careful who we eat from, what we experience, especially, dealing with some of the woo-woo niggas too. The woo-woo niggas are out here, y'all. They're doing the same things. They don't get as much, airtime. We ain't really paying attention, but they're doing some of the same things. So it is also another thing to keep in mind. But yes, there is binding power in all the fluids. Thank you so much for that question. If you have a question similar or about anything else, reach out to me. As I said, dearjuju@yahoo.com, and I might read your letter. Y'all, thank you so much for another beautiful episode. Thank y'all just for rocking with me, for enjoying a Little Juju podcast, for being here. I'm only able to do this because of y'all. Like, when y'all are like, oh, I love your podcast, thank you for your labor. I'm like, yeah, but if ain't nobody was listening to me, then I would not have this. So I thank you with the same energy that y'all thank me with. I thank you for watching, for investing your time, energy, and love into me. And I hope you all enjoyed this episode. Of course, we meet back here every Wednesday on video, might I add. So please watch. We're doing a lot to give y'all a beautiful aesthetic. And I will see y'all next time. Of course, you can follow me at ITSJUJUBAE. It's Jujube, and a Little Juju podcast spelled out just like that on Instagram. And it's Jujube on everything. TikTok, blah, blah, blah. You want to book a reading, want to do all those other things, go to jujube.com. That's where you get all my offerings, readings, bring me to your school, fly me out, jujube.com. And of course, I will see some of y'all on the Patreon. All right, y'all, have a good one. And remember, all you need is a little juju. Bye. That's the hoodoo. That's the voodoo. That's the hoodoo. That's the voodoo. That's the hoodoo. That's the voodoo. That's the shoo. That's the voodoo. I felt the magic was inside, I knew the whole time. I felt the magic was inside, I knew the whole time. I felt the magic was inside, I knew the whole time. I felt the magic was inside, I knew the whole time. That's the hoodoo. Free